Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Onside podcast. This season, as you know, we're taking a deeper dive into women's entrepreneurship here in Canada, and we're highlighting wonderful women entrepreneurs and leaders who are making our startup ecosystem dynamic, inclusive, and driving change. These fireside chats are being brought to you as part of the Start Now Incubator project from Onside. It's a project that supports diverse and intersectional women to start and grow their businesses here in Canada. I'm your host, Alex McCann, and I want to thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're speaking with the amazing Jayne Akinyi, the CEO and founder of Dadadunia. I'll tell you a little bit about her. Jayne is a passionate social entrepreneur from Kenya, and she's been making waves in Canada since 2021 as the founder of Dadadunia. Her business connects African virtual assistants with socially responsible Canadian companies, focusing both on professional growth and emotional intelligence. Jayne's diverse background spans from operational management in Kenya, teaching in China, and mentorship in the UK. Her approach is deeply rooted to her African heritage and her community's resilience, attracting clients ranging from Big Brother Canada winners to businesses committed to inclusivity. The impact of Dadadunia is deeply felt by her team, who have been able to support their families in transformative ways, like covering their rent for a whole year to being able to create annual education funds for their children. With vulnerability and vibrant energy, Jayne creates space where people feel empowered to break new ground, foster meaningful connections, and drive lasting social change. Jayne, welcome to the Onside podcast.
Thank you so much, Alex. I am so excited to be here. I am super, super thrilled. Thank you for having me. And oh my gosh, I was getting a big head while you're reading that. I was like, is that me?
Yes, that is you.
That
is you. That is you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you. You've always shown so much energy and enthusiasm. So I was pretty pleased to have you as our guest. And I did mention all these awesome things about you. I didn't even get to mention half of the things you've been doing. Winning awards, Halifax Entrepreneur of the Year, and all these kind of great things. So I only told people a few things, but I'm hoping we'll get to dive in and talk a little bit more about you, about your business, where you're from, all these great things.
Yes, definitely.
And as we get started, maybe we can talk, because I mentioned a little bit in the intro about, some places that you've been, China and Kenya and UK and now Canada. So you've traveled around the world. What led you to come to Halifax, Nova Scotia, and to start a business here?
I know.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I will say that's such a common question that people ask me. It's like, you live in Halifax? I'm like, for 3 years, I've lived here. And it's a funny story how I came to live here. I was working in China as a teacher. I was teaching English as a second language, and I was there for about 4 years. The last year, I started helping with marketing a bit in the school that I was working, and I had a list of countries that I wanted to immigrate to. And there were a few South American countries, but Canada was up there. And that was the one I chose. I thought I was going to go to Toronto, but then one fateful night, I was asleep, but I left my TV on. I don't do that anymore. But back then, a YouTube pop-up came and it was like this 1 or 2 bedroom house in Lower Sackville, a cabin in the woods. And I was like, what is this place? What? Nature? And it's this cheap? And what? And I started researching, and Halifax, it led me here. I haven't bought the cabin in the woods yet.
Okay.
But we're getting there.
Okay, you're getting there.
I'm getting there. Okay. And when I came here, it was super different from China, obviously. China was concrete jungle. Everything's moving fast. Here, it's like a bit of a slower pace. It's like such a nice Goldilocks city, I like to call it. It's like, it's not too busy, it's not too slow. It's in the middle of, there's nature, there's the city, the people are amazing. I give hugs to everybody and they be giving me hugs.
Yes, we got hugs on your way in. So
yes, I'm glad everybody received me. Thank you. And Halifax has been the place when I immigrated here. I was like, I've lived in China. I'm from Kenya. I have a UK master's degree. So this is going to be simple for me to integrate here. They're like, girl, you got to start from the bottom. You're just a customer service person now. You're nothing. You're not going to work anywhere else because you don't have Canadian experience. And that's sort of where Dadadunia kind of came from. I was like, why is it so hard for me to get a job here? Why can't I go and work in this place? I have lived and worked experience. I have this degree. I have all of the things that you would think would allow me to work in this space, but it just was not that easy. And after speaking to a couple of other newcomers and immigrants, it was the same for them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
But I found other different entrepreneur programs. I came up with this idea, and Tribe Network was one of them, where I'm co-hosting next week at the Tribe Summit. Come to Scotiabank.
Please come see Jayne.
And yeah, it led me to start my business, essentially. That was my journey to Halifax.
Okay. Yeah. So you came straight from China.
Straight from China.
Yeah, you have a master's. What's your master's degree in?
So my master's degree is in film practice, making documentaries and movies.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
I love the creative part of that. It just gets my creative juices flowing, coming up with storytelling visually.
Yeah.
And even though I don't actively practice making documentaries, with the social media we manage for our clients, I get to help them storytell and visually communicate their messaging to their audience. So it still comes out. It comes out.
I feel like nowadays you got to have like your business brain and your creative brain and meld all these things together.
Exactly.
So your business is called Dadadunia.
It is.
So for people who don't know what Dadadunia is, what is Dadadunia?
Okay, that's a good question. Many people don't know what it is.
Yeah, and I just like saying it. It just feels like it's just like
you say it really well.
I just love saying it.
I love it. Well, Dadadunia it comes from the Swahili language. So I'm from Kenya in East Africa. A couple of countries speak Swahili. Dada means sister, and dunia means world. And a couple of other languages as well. I believe in Arabic. Yeah.
Okay.
And so essentially, I had created Dadadunia with the thought of, I be loving the women, I'm here to help. I love the men too, but I love the women, I'm like, I have struggled and I can relate to them. They can relate to me. So I'm going to come to the men after I finish helping the women. But that is what drove me and led me to build a business focused on women first. So that's the Dada part of it.
Okay.
And the Dunia, I'm in this is going to be the fourth continent and country Canada I've lived in, and in all the little countries I've lived in, I've taken so many different experiences, met other women like myself that I've left behind there, but we still have this connection, women living in diaspora. So I thought, how can we create a sisterhood, even though we're not in the same country or city or town? So that was I would say the foundation of Dadadunia.
I love it.
Yes.
And thank you for focusing on the women first. We can come back to the men later.
Still love you, men.
We still love you. But as you may know, I think we talked about this a little bit before, at least for the number of women entrepreneurs and things like that. In Canada is only about 18.5%.
Shocking.
And the number of, Black, Indigenous, diverse women who are in business is even smaller. And the revenue that they get and the opportunities is smaller. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done there. So
exactly,
we need lots of data. Love.
Exactly. We still love you, men, but we got to pour into the women a little bit now.
Just a little bit, especially now in this moment. I feel like a little bit more.
Yes,
a little bit more. We need a little.
100%.
Yeah. So you started Dadadunia. You decided you were having a little bit of a rough go in Halifax. You're like, I want my cabin in the woods. This place is amazing. People are awesome. It's a little hard for me to get the job that I want with my background, my career, even my experience.
Yes.
So like a lot of women or immigrants, other people say, you know what, I'm going to create my own opportunity.
Yeah.
And so you've been on this journey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost 3 years now.
Almost 3 years. Yeah. Yeah. It was very exciting.
I know.
How has all of your international experience kind of influenced how you think about Dadadunia or anything you
Mhm.
do in your business? Because we talked about this before. I lived in Japan.
Yes.
I also have lived in the Ivory Coast. I've lived in all kinds of places, so it does give you
Yes.
different perspectives. So how has it influenced you?
Oh my gosh, so many ways. I'll say when I left Kenya, I was 16 years old. My mom was just like, "You're out of all my 4 kids, you're the one who likes talking the most. You're the one who's social. You can survive. Go on." She put me on the plane, go to London. And I was there. I was like, oh my gosh. Luckily, they had taken us on holiday before to Malaysia. And I was like, okay, this is a different culture. But this is now me going into my foundation degree and then doing my media and then master's. So I grew up really fast, not at home.
Mhm.
I had to really step up into this independent woman, whatever that was. And in Kenya, if I compare how, like, even our day to day, when we speak about she, her
Mhm.
pronouns and things like that, that is non existent, like at the time that I was there. And even now, with our team in Kenya, it's not something that they speak about like
Mhm.
outside of the work that they do with our clients. And so for me, I got exposed to all of these different cultures, all of these different ways of life and people very young
Mhm.
from the UK. And then moving to China with this, like, it's not, I don't know how to say it. In UK, there was like subtle racism. It was not in
Mm.
your face. Like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, you're good. It's not like that. In
Mhm.
China was like in your face. I'm walking down the streets, it's like, oh my Beyonce. I'm like, no, I'm not Beyonce. Okay. They're like, let's take a picture. Let's take a picture with you. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm a celebrity now. I will take a picture. 5 minutes later, you see your photo and you translate, and it's like, I saw a monkey today. I took a picture of the monkey. And you're like,
Oh,
well, then
wow.
I'm not Beyonce. But
Wow.
this is it makes you have a tough skin. You know,
Mhm.
at the time you're shocked. You're like, wow, I was trying to be nice and just, take a picture. But then they had this warped perception of what this actually was.
Mhm.
So living there for 4 years kind of like molded me into this.
Mhm.
Like, it's okay. Some people are ignorant. Some people don't have the information. Like,
Mhm.
some of those people were seeing an African speaking this English for the first time. They used to ask me, "Are you American? How are you speaking this English?" I'm like, this is what it is. Okay.
Mhm.
This is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. But I had to understand people are
Mhm.
different. You can't just judge people. You can't just accuse them
Mhm.
of being like, oh my gosh, they're trying to be racist. Some of them were, but some of them also were just ignorant and some of them didn't have information. And then moving here to Canada,
Mhm.
going through all of these experiences now, I'm like, okay, I'm in Canada. It's gonna be good. You don't have Canadian experience. All of the things, all of your education, all of your lived experience means nothing. So for me, molding all of these different things and also coming from Kenya, this country that was colonized by the British years ago, and there's this generational trauma that has been passed on to our parents, our ancestors, and now our generation and the future generation, because we're carrying this trauma. I have to look at all of those things and be intentional about how am I creating this business. I'm not just creating a business to get money at this point.
Mhm. Mhm.
I have context of my trauma and how can I pour it into creating something that is intentional to help have a bigger impact on whoever I'm working with. Be it the clients that are coming to us that don't really know how to be socially conscious or responsible, but they just know, oh my gosh, Dadadunia is working with these women that historically have gone through this colonization, generational trauma. I might not know how to be socially responsible here right now with my practices, with whatever I'm doing, but I want to work with Dadadunia because I know my money is going directly to changing the reality of this Dada who's
Mhm.
living in this different reality than me. And for our Dadas, I have gone through all of this trauma and all of these different experiences. So I see myself in them. They're
Mhm.
just different versions of me. And for me, what can I do? How can I pass on everything that I've learned from therapy to the professional skills that I've poured into myself? And I give them these resources for them to just change these perspectives, to open up a bit, to see that, oh my gosh, there's a world outside of this rat race that I'm in
Mm.
that has gone through colonization, that has gone through this. Like, there's something else. There's hope out here.
Mm-hmm.
So I take all of those things and I use them in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're funneling them.
I'm funneling.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
conduit. I'm
Yeah.
here.
You're like, I'm feeling the energy. I'm feeling the energy. You're just
Yes,
channeling and funneling, and yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
That's all I do.
Okay, that's amazing, and I think that probably all of the clients that you have who may want to do good but may not know how to or how to
Exactly.
connect. You're probably helping them see different cultures, different ways of interacting, learning,
Literally.
all of those things. Yeah.
And for example, like in our client calls, some of the things that we do for our clients are we're helping them with administrative tasks. So calendar and email management, things like that. We're helping them with their social media, coming up with content and their social media content calendar, managing projects for them. But you would think a normal virtual assistant company would have, okay, weekly calls. This is what's on your calendar, da, 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 da. And that is a big part of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But the cultural part of that, the cultural exchange part of that is there's a section in those calls where our dadas are teaching these clients words from their cultures, like Yoruba words or Swahili words or Afrikaans words. They're learning about these different languages and these dialects. For them, they're here in this first world country. They have interactions with newcomers here, but because now they've learned this Swahili word, they've learned this Yoruba word, maybe that's going to just bridge and bring them closer to newcomers in their community here. They don't have to wait to like go and fly to this country. They can use exactly what they're learning from Dadadunia here as well.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
What's something as you started your business in 2021? I remember meeting you at we were a tribe fellow.
Exactly.
I think that was the first time we met. You were a tribe fellow.
I was shy back then, Alex. Oh my!
Were you?
Was this the same energy?
It might have been like 10% less, but but I don't think much.
Okay.
Maybe like 10%. I think you had recently moved here, so you're probably getting the lay of the land. Like who are these people? Like
I was unsure of myself.
Yeah,
I was unsure. I was not. It's so funny that you feel like I was 10% less because I would have thought I was like 90% less.
Yeah.
I was maybe in the outward, I was putting on this confidence thing, which many newcomers, immigrants, and people, I think women also wear this thing,
Yeah.
Especially in those professional settings of networking events where you have this business and you're like 3-minute pitch, and you're like, okay, I gotta act like this now. There's people that could change my life in this room.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear that you think I was still.
Yeah, I think you were pretty. I think you're like maybe you were trying to contain the energy, but it was just like ready. It was ready to burst out.
Okay,
it was like you were trying to keep it in, but it was like. No, I have to get out. I got to find a way out. I
received that.
Yeah.
Gosh.
You're ready. You're just like trying to find the moment. And so now I feel like you've kind of found your moment. You're found your moment. You're getting your stride. You're doing all kinds of cool, amazing things. So I think your energy is like, and
it's been let out now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I never looked at it in that perspective. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think, it happens with a lot of immigrant women.
Yeah.
I know for myself, when I moved here, I didn't really know how to act or be, and I'm just from the US, but it is different.
It's different.
And the way people do things is different.
100%.
Sense of timeliness. I wasn't very timely with things until I moved here. I gotta be honest. Like if they said 3:00 pickup, I was like 3:15 is about the time, but
that's valid,
or things like that. But I've learned to absorb,
be on time,
do the Canadian things, say the Canadian things. It's all good.
I love that. I'm still trying to acclimatize. I'm still trying to integrate.
Yeah, I've been here a bit longer. So actually this year is the first year I think that I'm not surprised that winter is coming.
Yeah, you were telling.
Yeah, I feel like I've been here about 14 years, and this is the first year that I'm not surprised when I was like, I'm ready. I got my warm socks. I got
Oh,
cozy things. I think I'm ready.
I'm still surprised every year, every day, every time the cold comes. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I
Well,
rebuke you. But okay, I'm gonna try my best. I know I'm getting my citizenship at the end of this.
then you have to just embrace it then.
I
You
gotta
just-
embrace it.
Yeah.
I
Today there were
accept.
flurries. There were just a hint, just a hint.
I know. I'm cold already. Okay, no, here I'm good. Y'all have made it warm and
Warm.
nice.
Yeah. And we have hot tea. So we
And
have
we blueberry tea.
it's very Nova Scotia.
Shout out.
The blueberry tea.
I love that.
So what surprised you most about starting your business in Canada? So you're ready to, you're like, you know, you're
feeling
kind of you're kind of containing the energy, but you got your film background.
Yes.
You're creative. You're like, I got to do something. I got to make something happen.
Yes.
But what was the thing that most surprised you about starting a business in Canada?
Literally, this is the first thing that surprised me, that I could write a business idea. It wasn't a business plan. It was a business idea, and I submitted it, and I got $5,000. Like that was 2 months after I immigrated, around 2 months after I immigrated here. And Tribe Network were the ones. I just wrote I was like, Dadadunia is this. I want to help newcomers and immigrants. It was not what it looks like right now.
Mhm.
Right now, Dadadunia is an ethical virtual assistant organization that works with women from Africa. We hire, mentor, and connect them to socially responsible businesses here. Back then, we want to help newcomers find housing. We want to help newcomers find a job. And it was just not what it is right now.
Mhm.
So the first thing that surprised me is a business like Tribe can really take in this ideation phase. It was an idea at that time,
Mhm.
and believe in it and give this person $5,000. I was like, $5,000. That's crazy.
Mhm.
And then after, it came with a whole 13-month, I think it was 13 months of mentorship. You're paired with a mentor. So I was like, oh, I don't even have to figure this out myself. Like, if there's a mentor here. So then it came with that and a whole community. So I had seen my mom start a bunch of businesses. Some succeeded, some have failed. She is an entrepreneur. She is like my golden eagle that I look up to.
Mhm.
But she started brick and mortar businesses, not something that is in like the ether, the universe, the virtual space.
Mhm.
So I had to really change that perspective of like, oh, market research. This is what this is. Like, I have to speak to over 200 women to understand what a pain point is. How can I turn that into a solution? How can I be intentional in how I'm paying my team? You can't just like randomly give this person who's been receiving $500 a month and now they're being paid close to Canadian wages. It's like jumping to like 1,500. And so that's like understanding how can you be intentional in providing these, like your team with the resources needed for them to grow in an intentional way. So I will say that it was definitely that a business would give me $5,000 just to start this idea. That is something that surprised me when I was starting my business.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. It sounds like were there any other so you got that early idea, you had the idea.
I had the idea.
You got the early support from Tribe to actually get a little bit of money to
little
put
bit.
in,
Yes.
which is critical, especially for women-led businesses. Just $5,000. We've talked to other people just saying, I got $1,000, and that is what completely propelled the idea forward and gave me. So I didn't have to max out my credit cards and
exactly
all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The 5,000 went by like that, but it's still
yeah. Oh yeah. $5,000 is a drop.
It's a drop,
but it
held me at the start. Like for someone who's never ever started such a business, like. Right now, we've gone on to win an award. I've spoken in the Wonder Woman event, like where there were 800 women. I could not, like, in my mind, I was just like, oh, I'm creating a business. I could not see where this was going. So I think that 5,000 was like such a foundational thing for me to, let me hire a team now and see how this goes. There was a lot of ups and downs, but I needed to do that in that first year so that I'm so much more intentional in the next year.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. So you talked a little bit about some of the early support and the traction that you've gotten.
Yes.
And I know, like in your work, you talked that about that you're supporting mostly African women from Kenya and other countries.
Yes.
You're also an immigrant woman to Canada yourself.
I am.
You know, what are some things or opportunities that you think people are not thinking about with regard either to opportunities that immigrant women can take, or what are your thoughts about that?
I would say if they are thinking about, let's say, getting out of the rat race, like how I was trying to get out of the rat race, when you come into this country, you see that those stack of expenses that you have to pay at the end of the month, you're like, wow, I need 3 jobs. I cannot sustain myself. Or you need a partner to kind of help you. You know, you can't just live alone in that early stage. So I remember even joining Tribe. It was still, I believe Tribe was still starting at that time, 3 years ago. So the community maybe wasn't as big, but I will say right now, in this day and age, 2024, Tribe's community, the people there are really helpful. The people that I've met through Tribe, people like Bradley, like you know Bradley.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yes, he is just such an intentional human being. But I met him just in one of the events at Tribe. So I would say join these community, these kind of organizations like Tribe Network. There's also BWIE. So there's organizations that allow for you to meet people like that are ISANs. Yes, exactly. So that's like if you're starting a business, I would say. And if you are looking for a job, if you're looking for opportunities related to jobs, I would say definitely I like to say like it's about you, yourself. It's not how can you stand out? How can you be unique? When I first came to this country and I was like getting a no from everyone, like applying for jobs, I went to LinkedIn and I sent messages. I was cold sending messages to everybody. I was like, hi, I'm a newcomer to Canada and I just da-da-da-da-da-da. And it was a long message about myself and all my concerns. And I'm like, I'm looking so that I can pay rent. And it was my whole life story. And a couple of people responded back, a couple just didn't. One of those people worked down, I can't remember what the street is, but this business called Trampoline. It's a marketing agency. And she was like, oh, hey, I'll sit down and have a coffee with you. That led on to me getting a job without really interviewing. And that was really because I put myself out there. How are you unique? Were you able to just be yourself? You're not just there to be like, okay, hi, Alex. I'm a newcomer. Is there any opportunities? I understood what my superpower is very early on when I entered this country. I knew I'm good at one-on-one. I'm not good, like I can be good in a group, cool, but I'm super good at one-on-one. I like zone into the person's energy and I can really hear them, see them, give them that space to just open up. So understand your superpower. Like, what are you good at? And then go with that. Position yourself to be super unique and opportunities are going to align and come to you.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you were saying you're not good in a crowd. And I was like, I don't know about that. That's like when you said your energy was contained. I was like, I'm like, okay. I don't know about that.
I know. I mean, okay, let me say I prefer one-on-ones because I'm with the person, I really, I dive in.
I love it. Well, yeah. We're having a good time, connecting here, and I appreciate the energy and I appreciate being able to like have the one-on-one time. I get to have you for myself. Well, and all the people who are listening to us.
Oh yes, hey, we still love you.
Well, you talked a lot about some of the organizations that are here with us here in Nova Scotia and Halifax. Tribe is obviously a really great one.
Yes.
ISANS, let's see, we have all St. Mary's, all kinds of little great things.
Onside
as well. Yeah. And you have recently taken some programming. We were talking about the Start Now incubator at the beginning of the time here.
Yes.
And I have enjoyed popping in a couple times
with
some program. Yeah. I wish I had come a bit more because I could absorb the energy. But why don't you, for our listeners, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you decided to do at the Start Now incubator?
Well, I did a program with Lauren and Larissa, and it was focused on capacity building. So I feel like I had been operating with my business, and I have a business and life coach, and he is the best. But in terms of, I meet with him every 2 weeks. But I feel like this program, it was like in detail. It was like a course. Like, it was easy to absorb, but had so much information for you to take home and actually do the work and see like, oh, this is where I am with my business. So in terms of capacity, I want to say the things that definitely stood out, except Lauren and Larissa just being top-notch facilitators, like putting this together. All of us had such a great time in there. But I was able to take away going back, and the first thing, you know how you can come up with a job role and it says some big title name or something, CEO, CFO, whatever. And so the way I was advertising, also some positions had this like big titles, but it's like when you give someone that title, it also comes with this pressure, and then the role is not even matching what they're doing. But for them, they have this pressure, and then when you actually get to the stage where you need to hire this person, what are you going to do when that person comes? It's like, so are you going to demote this person, or like what's going to happen? Because this person is not, their role is supposed to be something else. So they were letting us know that, hey, you can be intentional in just tweaking these job titles. So I changed a couple of mine instead of saying some, I can't remember what the title was, but they added things like lead, like a team lead, instead of like this manager or something. And that really like took pressure off of like, oh, I don't need to put this pressure also on someone, and they don't need to like have this pressure on. Like, yeah, you can just lead this small team here. It's like, we're still a baby. We're only like 3 years old, So that was really helpful for me. And for hiring processes. And then they had such a simplified method of really understanding, this is where you are in startup phase. This is where your energy should be pouring. Is it in sales and marketing? Is it for your people and culture? Is it for what? And the next stage of your business, when you're 3 to 5 years, this is how it differs. And so all of us were able to see, where are you at in the stage of your business, and where should your energy be poured into? And so when I did that comparison, they were like, oh yeah, you're roughly in the right place. This is correct in what you're doing. And I was like, okay, I am doing it correctly. Good. I'm doing it blindly, but I'm doing it correctly.
Your intuition was leading you in the right direction. Yeah.
That part. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was really like good for me to know. And at least I knew, okay, so in the next couple of years, this is how I should be allocating my energy. This is how much time you should be spending on people and culture. This is how much time you should be spending on future. Are you planning on the next 1 year, the next 2 years? So that was really helpful for me, because I'm just growing, but I'm like, I feel like I'm growing blindly. And this program, it helped me see like, oh, you are growing. Just be more intentional so that you can grow more intentionally.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and the program had a great name, which is right time at the right size. Excuse me, right size at the right time.
Yes.
And Larissa and Lauren from DLM Coach. I was going to say consulting, but I think they go by coach, are really great facilitators. And I took away some things, because thinking about, what's the stage of business that you're at, how old your business, how big is it? and how do you intentionally, as you said, kind of think about how do I take the appropriate next steps? How do I not hyperinflate a role?
Yes.
So that everybody's like, you're a COO, you're a CFO, you're the head of this, and there's like 3 people, and then when you actually need a CFO, you're like, oh shoot, that guy that had basic math skills is not the person. I actually need somebody who's a CFO, someone who knows more than algebra. I need someone like who can actually help me here.
I know. I'm so happy I did that course now. Honestly, I needed to do it before 2025.
Yeah,
I can already see where I'm going, but I needed that.
Yeah.
So, thank you, On-Side.
Well, we were happy to have you, and
Thank you.
I think what we're trying to do is just like Tribe and other folks that are out there, is really create spaces where at least for us women entrepreneurs have space where they can get the training, the capacity building, especially at an early stage.
Yes.
So that you have the intuition, you're like on the right path, but then you get a little extra skills, and then you can
it changes a lot,
10x it or amplify it, or not make mistakes as much as like everybody makes mistakes, but if we can minimize the mistakes, minimize the mistakes would be better.
I know.
I have maybe just like one more question. I probably have like 10,000 questions, but we probably don't have time for all that. We have to continue our conversation over, coffee or some other kind of beverage.
I know. Is there episode 8, part 2? We could do a part 2, girl.
We sure could. We'll have our own episode. We'll have an offline episode. So what, we talked a lot about you being a newcomer, immigrant entrepreneur, all your experience internationally that you're like pulling in, your dadas that you're trying to support, the support you got from groups like Tribe and the community. What's something that's, really been important to you as a immigrant entrepreneur woman? All the things, in Canada, we gotta like say all the name all the things. I'm like, probably can't get. How do you for yourself, how do you build and maintain community? Either like locally, or you're a globally connected person, but how do you do that? And are there ways that you can suggest for other women entrepreneurs to do that?
That is a great question, Alex. Oh my God, the English accent came out. But I will say, with my business, it's very like, sometimes I can get in the rat race. I'm like in there, I'm managing a team. We're 7 of us. So I'm like, every day, by the time I wake up, I'm like, because they're 6, 7, 8 hours ahead of me. So I got to start my day early. So sometimes I'm in the weeds of things, doing and building and managing and talking a lot. But the universe, the ether, it does the thing in the background and pulls me towards community some way or another. I love that I have the flexibility and luxury to work from home because it's a remote virtual business. So as long as I have my laptop, I can work from anywhere. However, I'm busy here shout-outing Tribe so much. They should pay me by now. But they have an amazing co-working space that is free on Barrington Street. And I love to go there. Like, I just love to sit there. I love to do some work. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs that walk there. There's a lot of random people who just come and they're like, oh, what's this space? And they're like, it's a co-working space where entrepreneurs come and innovate and do things. Yeah. And so I found myself really getting introduced and running into people there who are like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, I do this. And they're like, oh my gosh, could you help me with this thing? And that's how I give my time to people that need help. Because for me, my superpower is one-on-one, but I also go by, there's a modality, I don't know if you've heard about it, called human design. And essentially, it's just a spiritual technique that allows you to understand how your energy interacts with other people. It divides humanity into 5 different types: projector, manifestor, manifesting generator, reflector, and a generator. And so for me, I'm a projector and the superpower is one-on-one, but our strategy is to wait for an invitation. We have to put ourselves out there to be seen, to be recognized, and the right person is going to see you and ask you for help, or what is Dadadunia, or can I work with you? So for me, I have the luxury of staying at home, but I know I won't be seen. I won't be invited to things like this so that I can share the story and be impactful. The right person is going to hear and be like, oh my gosh, I have been struggling about this. And they're going to reach out to me. And there is where I give my time. It's an invitation for me to share knowledge, for me to share resources, for me to share, oh yeah, I have this person's number. I can connect you with this. And so those are the opportunities that I use to ground myself and stay humble and also connected to community. And there's so many people that I've been connected to in this past 3 years that are newcomers, immigrants, but also are African Nova Scotian and they've like lived here. And for me, I learn from those people about like the trauma that has happened on this land. For me, it's important to understand this new community that I've now integrated into. So I give my time also to that, whatever they need. Like, can you create this social media post for this? I'm like, okay, cool. Here's this. Can you tell me more about what this is about? What this trauma you're speaking about, the Mi'kmaq community and this. So I feel like it's a symbiotic relationship. For me, I can't just stay at home with the business. I could get all this money alone in my room, yeah. But how am I also pouring and sharing and being this conduit? So that's how I try and stay connected to the community. The universe just somehow brings people to me and I accept.
I love it. That's fantastic. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. And I love Tribe Space too. We're actually having an event there in December, our connector event. So stay tuned for that. December 5th, come back.
Okay, I will stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned for that.
I'm probably going to be working in that.
You came to it last year, I think. Was it last year?
It was last year?
Yeah.
December.
In December. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably did.
Yeah.
I will be there.
Round two. If people want to learn more about Dadadunia or connect with you or those kinds of things, you're putting out the energy, putting out the energy. How can people do that? How can people connect with you?
Come find me on Instagram. Come find me, Jayne Laura Akinyi. Just type it on the Instagram. If you want, you could go to our website, dadadunia.com. It has the spiel of what Dadadunia is. But if you want all this energy, come find me on my Instagram. Slide into my DMs. I will respond.
I love it.
After like 1 or 2 days, but I will still respond. I promise.
Eventually, like I will respond eventually. After all my fan mail comes
Stop it.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you for joining us here at the Onside Podcast. It's been our pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
And for anyone who would like to learn more about Onside, you can check out our website, which is onsidenow.ca. You can also follow us on Instagram. We actually have 2 Instagrams. Onside Now. And then for our project, the Start Now Incubator is at Start Now Incubator. It's kind of a long name, but anyway, you can find us there. All of our programs, activities, events. We'll be posting this episode, some reels and things like that there. So I encourage everybody to check that out. And it's been amazing having you here.
Thank you, Alex. I've had so much fun. Please have me for episode part 2.
Okay. Offline.
But thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.